Imagine you're at a networking event in New York. You're holding a drink, making small talk, and someone asks what you're reading. You want to say you're reading a book about how to be a better manager. So you smile and say, "Oh, it's a self-help book." And suddenly, the energy shifts. The person gives a tight smile, nods, and then they excuse themselves to get another drink. What just happened? You didn't say anything grammatically wrong, but culturally, you just waved a flag that says, "I am struggling." That is what we are decoding today. Hey everyone, welcome to Speak Like a Native. I'm Maya.
And I'm Leo. Let's get into it.
Today we're tackling one of the most fascinating and honestly most misunderstood parts of American culture, the obsession with self-improvement. And Leo, I know you had your own little culture shock moment with this recently.
Oh, I absolutely did. I was in an airport bookstore in LA and I saw this huge wall of books. Atomic Habits, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Daring Greatly. So I said to the guy next to me, "Wow, Americans really love self-help books." And he kind of looked at me, paused, and said, I think of it more as
That is such a perfect example. You didn't insult him, but you accidentally used a word that in American English carries a subtle but powerful negative charge. Let's break this down, because this isn't just a vocabulary lesson. This is a window into the American mindset. The word self-help often implies that something is broken and needs fixing. It has a whiff of desperation, like I need help and the only person left to help me is myself. It makes people think of daytime TV therapist or someone in a crisis.
So when I said self-help, he heard books for people with serious problems. But when he said personal development, what does that signal?
Exactly. Personal development, or even better, professional development, signals ambition, strategy, and optimization. You're not failing, you're already good, and you're investing in yourself to become exceptional. It's the difference between going to the doctor because you broke your leg and going to a personal trainer because you want to run a marathon faster. One is about repair, the other is about performance. In America, the culture deeply respects the performance side.
Oh, that makes so much sense now. So it's like you don't want to be the patient, you want to be the athlete.
That's the perfect analogy. And this matters because for many learners, self-help is just the dictionary translation. If you're a Spanish speaker, autoayuda doesn't carry the same heavy stigma. If you're a Chinese speaker, talking about self-help psychology is often seen as practical and smart. But walk into a corporate event in the US and call your favorite business book self-help, and you might accidentally lower your perceived status.
Wow. Okay, so walk me through the airport bookstore again. I want to redo. What should I have said?
All right, let's do the redo. You're standing in front of that wall of books, you're talking to an American. Instead of Americans love self-help books, you have options. You can say something like, "Wow, the personal growth section is huge here." Or, "It's great to see so much focus on business psychology." Those phrases sound strategic. They make you sound like a high performer who is just leveling up, not someone who is lost and looking for a map.
So I can just swap the label. Personal growth, business psychology.
Yes, and here's a native trick. We often frame it through action. Instead of saying, "I read a self-help book about habits," we say, "I'm really into books about productivity and behavioral design." See the shift? You're not describing the category of the book. You're describing the cool, smart-sounding concept the book explores. It's less about what the book is and more about what the book does for you.
Behavioral design. That sounds 100 times smarter than self-help. I'm definitely using that. But this gets even deeper, right? Because it's not just about books, it's a whole culture of always growing.
Exactly. Americans are raised with this idea that you are a project, you are a work in progress, and the goal is to constantly iterate on yourself. You see it in the tech world. What's version 2.0 of you? You hear it in fitness. Be the best version of yourself. This is deeply tied to the American dream, the idea that you can reinvent yourself and rise.
But doesn't that get exhausting? Always feeling like you're not finished?
Absolutely can. And that's the shadow side of it. But for our language purposes, you need to know how to talk about it without sounding exhausted, even if you are. Because in a professional or social setting, showing that you are actively working on yourself is a huge social signal. It says, I am disciplined, I am forward moving, I am a valuable person to know.
Okay, so what are the specific phrases that send that signal? Give me the scripts.
All right, let's start with the morning. One of the biggest buzzwords is morning routine. Everyone from CEOs to artists talks about their morning routine. So if you tell a US colleague, I've been optimizing my morning routine or I've been protecting my morning routine, that instantly marks you as someone who is intentional and disciplined. It's a status marker.
Protecting my morning routine. That sounds very serious. Like you're a bodyguard for your own time.
Exactly. It frames you as a high value person whose time is precious. Another one is the word journey. Americans love a journey. Nobody is just losing weight, they are on a fitness journey. Nobody just has a new hobby, they're on a creative journey. Using the word journey makes a process sound noble and exciting, not like a chore.
I've been saying I'm trying to get better at cooking, but you're saying I should say,
Try this. I'm on a bit of a culinary journey right now, mastering pasta from scratch. Doesn't that sound more impressive? It turns a series of failed attempts into a grand adventure. And that brings us to one of the biggest mistakes learners make. And I know, Leo, you're about to make it right now in our practice. Let's do a role play. You had a stressful month, you started writing down your thoughts in a notebook, and you want to tell me about it. Go.
okay, hey Maya, I've been doing a lot of self-help journaling to deal with my stress. It's really helping.
There it is. That's the exact mistake 90% of learners make. I love it.
Wait, what did I say wrong? Journaling is a word, right?
Journaling is the right word, but you framed it wrong on two levels. First, you said self help journaling, which, as we just learned, makes it sound like a medical treatment for anxiety. Second, saying to deal with my stress is a little too raw for casual American conversation, especially at work. It's not that you can't be vulnerable, but the cultural script usually packages vulnerability inside a framework of growth and productivity.
So how do I make journaling sound cool?
Drop the self help completely and drop the deal with stress part. Instead, frame it around clarity and performance. You can say something like, I've started a daily journaling practice. It's amazing for mental clarity and setting my intentions for the day. Or, I've been doing morning pages. It's a total game changer for my focus.
Mental clarity, intentions, game changer. These are all very positive words.
Yes, and this is key. Americans often use the language of business and sports to describe their inner lives. We optimize our mental health. We hack our sleep. We invest in our relationships. This isn't cold-hearted. It's just the cultural metaphor we live by. You are the CEO of You Inc.
So if I'm having a problem, I shouldn't say I'm trying to fix myself, which is how a lot of learners would translate from their native language. That sounds like I'm broken.
Bingo. And now, here's the part that surprises most people. This language isn't just for the yoga studio, it's for the office. In a job interview, if they ask, what's your greatest weakness? Americans don't just confess a flaw. They use this growth language to spin it. They say, I used to struggle with public speaking, so I actively sought out opportunities to present and even joined a communication skills workshop. It's an area I'm continuously developing. See that? They frame the weakness as an investment story.
So it's a story where you are the hero who saw a challenge and grew, not a story where you just have a weakness.
Perfectly put. This is called having a growth mindset. It's a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, and it's absolutely everywhere in American schools, companies, and sports teams. A growth mindset means believing that your abilities can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. The opposite is a fixed mindset, believing that you are just born smart or talented. In American culture, the growth mindset is seen as the key to success.
But isn't this confusing for learners? Because in some cultures, just saying I'm not good at something, I need to work harder just sounds normal. Why is there a special term for it?
Because in America, we've commercialized and branded it. We love a good framework. Telling a parent your child failed a math test because they have a fixed mindset is a lot more actionable and profitable than saying your child finds math hard. An entire industry of mindset coaches, workshops, and apps exists around this. So when you're talking to an American, dropping the phrase growth mindset signals that you are educated in this modern progressive way of thinking about success.
Okay, so if my boss asks me to take on a project I've never done and I'm nervous, I shouldn't say I don't know how to do this.
No, you said it again. Tell yourself never to end the sentence there. Instead, add the growth clause. Say, "This is new territory for me, but I'm really excited for the learning curve." Or, "I don't have experience in that specific software yet, but I've got a growth mindset about it, and I'm a fast learner." That last one is like a magic spell in American offices.
I'm excited for the learning curve. Even though the learning curve is stressful, saying you're excited for it makes you sound super capable.
It does. Let's dive deeper into journaling specifically because it's become a massive part of the modern self improvement culture, and it's a great way to see the vocabulary in practice. Americans distinguish between journaling and keeping a diary. A diary is often associated with being a teenager writing Dear Diary, "Today I have a crush on someone." A journal, on the other hand, is adult and purposeful. It's a tool.
So don't say I write in my diary.
Unless you want to sound 13. Say I journal or I keep a journal, and there are so many specific types. Bullet journaling is a huge trend for hyper-organized people. It's almost an art form. Gratitude journaling is where you write down 3 things you're thankful for every morning. It's a very American practice. To many cultures, it might seem forced or fake. "I'm not grateful for my coffee, it's just coffee." But in America, this practice is seen as a scientifically proven high-performance habit.
Right. My Chinese friends would probably say, "Why are you listing things like, I'm grateful for the bus arriving on time? That's just life." But here, it is a ritual.
Exactly, and the language around it is so sunny and positive. People say I'm cultivating a gratitude practice. They don't say I'm trying to be less negative. Frame it around what you're cultivating, not what you're eliminating. This is a huge language lesson. You're not quitting smoking, you're focusing on lung health and vitality. You're not stuck in a dead-end job, you're in a season of exploring new growth opportunities.
That is such a powerful reframe. It is all very, very optimistic. But doesn't that ever sound fake?
That's a fair question. And sometimes, yes, you'll hear people say toxic positivity, which is when you force happiness and growth language to cover up real pain. But for a non native speaker, it's crucial to know that this is the default cultural script. When in doubt, err on the side of this positive, growth oriented language. It's what Americans expect. Speaking directly about intense struggle or depression with a stranger, no matter how real it is, can often cause discomfort. That's for closer relationships.
That is a really important point. So, the language of growth is also a kind of social shield.
It is. It keeps the conversation moving forward and upward. Now let's talk about one more huge piece of this culture: unspoken rules. We've talked about the words, but how you display your commitment to growth matters too. Americans often show, not just tell. If you tell someone I read 50 books a year, that's a huge status signal. There's an entire subculture around reading a lot. Saying you listen to a specific highbrow podcast about behavioral economics or human psychology is a way to network and signal your tribe.
Right. The podcast thing is huge. People say, I was listening to this episode of the Huberman Lab podcast. It's almost a conversation starter.
Yes, it's a shorthand for I am a self optimizer. I am curious. I am leveling up. And the listener thinks, oh, this person is smart and dedicated. So your challenge, Leo, and for all our listeners, is to pick just one of the words you currently use in English that might sound a little broken or lost and swap it.
Okay. So if I read a book about being a better leader, I won't say I read a self-help book for leaders. I'll say,
Try this. I'm really into leadership psychology right now. Or Stephen Covey's book is a classic. It changed my whole approach to personal effectiveness. You're naming the top shelf concept, not the bottom shelf category.
and instead of saying I'm trying to manage my stress, I should say,
I've been focusing on building better systems for mental clarity and resilience. Sounds like a high-performance machine, not a person drowning. And before we wrap up, I want to touch on one thing I hear a lot. Sometimes learners say Americans are obsessed with self-help. You are totally right, but the irony is, calling someone obsessed with self-help in English makes them sound incredibly uncool, like they're constantly in crisis. The natural thing to say, if you want to make a generally positive comment, is Americans are really into personal growth. Or, there's a big emphasis on continuous learning here.
So, a subtle shift in language, but a massive shift in how people perceive you.
Exactly. And that's our one memorable takeaway sentence for today. Swap self help for personal growth and frame your struggles as investments and journeys. You'll instantly sound more in control, more strategic, and more native.
God, I have been saying this wrong my whole professional life. That is a game changer. Everyone listening, here's your homework. Think of one personal challenge you're working on. Maybe you're trying to be more organized, or you want to learn public speaking. In the comments, practice reframing it using today's positive strategic language. Don't say I'm fixing my messiness. Tell us about your productivity journey.
I love that. We'll be reading and responding, and if this episode saved you from accidentally calling yourself a mess at a networking event, then you know what to do. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a culture fix. For Speak Like a Native, I'm Maya.
And I'm Leo. Keep growing strategically.
Couldn't have said it better myself.